What if I told you that right now you're probably wasting half of your marketing budget? Now, here's the really frustrating part. You most likely don't know which half. This is called the 50-50 marketing paradox, and it's been keeping business owners awake at night for over a century. But today, I'm going to show you something that could turn everything around for you. How to break free from this paradox once and for all. I've spent the last 20 years helping companies solve this exact problem, and I'm about to show you 3 simple metrics that will transform your marketing from a guessing game into a predictable revenue engine. So, if you're tired of wondering whether your marketing is actually working, stick around because what I'm about to share could literally double your marketing ROI without spending an extra dime.
Welcome to the Buzzworthy Marketing Podcast. Here's your host, Michael Bazinski.
Welcome back, Buzzworthy entrepreneurs. I am your host, Michael Bazinski, but you, my friends, can call me Buzz. And today we're diving into something that's been haunting business owners since the dawn of marketing. It's a problem so persistent that John Wanamaker, the father of modern advertising, famously complained about it back in 1902. He said, "Half the money I spend on advertising is wasted. The trouble is, I don't know which half." Sound familiar? Fast forward more than a century, and despite all our fancy technology, sophisticated tracking systems, and advanced analytics, most businesses are still stuck in the same trap. It's commonly known as the 50-50 marketing paradox, where 50% of your marketing might be working, you just don't know which 50%. So you keep doing everything out of fear of dropping the wrong thing. But here's what's fascinating, and what most businesses never consider. This paradox isn't actually about marketing at all. It's about measurement. You see, while most companies are busy tracking everything under the sun, likes, shares, impressions, click-through rates, all of them, they're completely missing 3 core metrics that actually move the revenue needle. And these are the core of the final of 5 marketing pillars: effectiveness. Think about it like trying to lose weight. You could track 100 different health metrics, your daily steps, your macros, your sleep quality, but at the end of the day, only a few key numbers really tell you if you're making progress. Marketing works exactly the same way. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how to break free from this paradox and increase your marketing effectiveness. You'll learn the 3 essential metrics that matter more than any others combined, how to track them effectively, and most importantly, how to use them to make marketing decisions that actually drive revenue. No more guessing, no more waste, just clear, data-driven decisions that grow your business. I recently worked with a business strategy company. Let's call them Strat Pro. When they came to me, they were tracking everything you could imagine. Their marketing dashboard looked like a NASA control center. 27 different metrics updating in real time. Website traffic, social media engagement, email open rates, click-through rates, time on page, you name it, they tracked it. On paper, everything looked pretty good. Their social media following had doubled in the last 6 months. Their email list was growing by dozens each week. Their website traffic was looking pretty healthy, and the marketing team was pleased with the results, showing me beautiful graphs with lines all pointing in the up and to the right. Okay, here's the thing. There's actual sales weren't budging. In fact, they were spending more on marketing than ever before, but their customer acquisition cost had quietly crept up by 19%. When I asked the CEO what percentage of their marketing spend was actually generating revenue, he just stared at me blankly, like they had no idea. When we dug into their data, we discovered something shocking. Out of all those fancy metrics they were tracking, only 3 actually correlated with revenue growth. Even more surprising, some of their most successful marketing campaigns, the ones with the highest engagement rates, were actually losing money. But here's the real kicker and what completely turned their business around. Once we identified the three metrics that actually mattered and built their marketing strategy around them, their customer acquisition costs dropped by 42% in just 90 days. Their conversion rate almost doubled, and they actually reduced their marketing budget while growing faster than ever. Now I know what you're thinking, but Buzz, my business is different. We need to track all these metrics because our marketing is unique. Trust me, I've heard this from companies in every industry imaginable. But after working with over 1,200 businesses, I can tell you something remarkable. While the specific numbers might vary, these same three core metrics predict marketing success across every type of business. And at least every type of business I've ever worked with. And today, I'm going to show you exactly what these metrics are, how to track them, and most importantly, how to use them to make marketing decisions that actually drive revenue. So if you're ready to break free from the 50-50 marketing paradox once and for all, let's dive in. But before I do, I want to be crystal clear about something. I'm not suggesting you should never look at other metrics, but these three are your North Star if you're looking to generate revenue through your website, which is crucial for any company looking to get past the $1 million revenue mark. The first metric is unique website visitors. Now, I know what you're thinking, really, Buzz, website traffic, that's your groundbreaking metric. But here's the thing. I'm not talking about general traffic. I'm specifically talking about unique visitors who match your target market, because in B2B marketing, one perfectly qualified visitor is worth more than 1,000 tire kickers. Think of it like a retail store. You don't just want foot traffic, you want the right people walking through your door, the ones who actually need what you're selling and have the means to buy it. Everyone else is just tracking dirt onto your floors. And trust me, there's plenty of dirt in digital marketing these days. The second metric is your conversion rate. But again, we're not talking about those micro conversions like marketing agencies love to report on. I'm talking about the percentage of visitors who take meaningful action that leads to revenue, whether that's making a purchase outright, booking a consultation, or taking the first steps in your sales process. Whatever represents a real business opportunity for you. Let me give you an example. When StratPro first came to us, they were celebrating a 15% increase in their newsletter signups. Sounds great, right? But when we dug deeper, we discovered that their actual sales conversion rate had dropped by 3%. They were getting more leads, but they were the wrong kind of leads. They were optimizing for a metric that actually had no correlation with revenue. And this brings us to the third and most crucial metric: average revenue per client. This is a game changer that most businesses completely overlook, because here's the truth. Not all revenue is created equal. I've seen companies triple their client base, but watch their profits shrink because they were attracting the wrong type of clients. Shoot, I almost doubled my company's revenue from 1.2 million in 2016 to 2.3 million in 2017 and managed to shrink my profitability by half. So when I tell you that not all revenue is created equal, I know from personal experience. Now, it's important to understand that these three metrics work together like a tripod. Removing any one leg and the whole thing falls over. But when you get them all working in harmony, that's when the magic happens. That's when we can finally break free from the 50-50 marketing paradox and start making marketing decisions based on real data, not just gut feelings or industry best practices. Let me briefly show you how to approach increasing each metric. Let's start with unique website visitors. You've got two main paths here: earned traffic and paid traffic. Earned traffic comes through our network, email list, social media presence, and search engine optimization. This takes time, but builds lasting authority. Paid traffic, on the other hand, comes through platforms like Google and social media ads, traditional media like TV and radio, and other advertising avenues that get you results faster, but requires careful management of your cost per acquisition. The key is to focus on quality over quantity. I'd rather see you get 100 perfectly qualified visitors than 10,000 random ones. This means really understanding where your perfectly profitable prospects hang out and showing up there consistently. Something we covered in detail in our visibility episodes. Then there's the conversion rate. This is where most businesses leave money on the table. They drive all this traffic to their website, but then drop the ball when it comes to converting visitors into leads or clients. The secret here isn't about flashy design or clever copy. It's about alignment. Your website needs to instantly communicate three things: what's the problem you solve, who you solve it for, and why you're the best choice. Remember our identity episodes? This is where that work really pays off. When your messaging aligns perfectly with your marketing needs, conversion happens naturally. But here's something fascinating about conversion rates. Small changes can have massive impact. I recently helped a client increase their conversion rate by 22% just by simplifying their contact form. They were asking for too much information too soon, creating what is called friction points in their sales process. Finally, let's talk about average revenue per client, or ARCP. I measure this by the client's first year of engagement, whether it be a monthly retainer or collection of ad hoc purchases. This is also my favorite metric because it often is the easiest to improve. There are many ways to increase your ARCP, but the three fastest ways are raising your prices, improving your packaging, or enhancing your upsell process. Let's start with raising your prices. And I know this one makes people nervous, but here's something I've learned over the years. Most B2B service providers are significantly undercharging. They're priced based on their cost or competitors' rates instead of the value they deliver. When we help clients properly calculate and communicate their value, a price increase often leads to better clients and higher satisfaction, not the mass exodus they fear. Now, let's talk about your packaging. Think of it like a restaurant menu. Instead of selling individual items, you create thoughtfully curated combinations that deliver better results for your clients while increasing your revenue. For example, one of my clients went from selling individual accounting services to creating three clear packages: essentials, professional, and enterprise. Not only did this make it easier for the clients to buy, but it naturally led them to choose higher value options because the value was so obvious. Finally, there's enhancing your upsell process. This isn't about pushing services your clients don't need. It's about properly timing additional value offers. The key here is success sequencing. You introduce additional services at the natural progression points in your client's journey when they're already experienced success with your core offering. This approach typically increases average client value by 30 to 40% while improving satisfaction scores. The beauty of focusing on these three metrics is that you don't need to tackle everything at once. Let me show you why this matters with some real numbers. Let's say you're currently getting 1,000 unique visitors per month, converting at 5%, with an average client value of $10,000. That's bringing in $500,000 in revenue. So if you increase each metric just by 26%, something amazing happens. Your visitors now grow to 1,260. Your conversion rate jumps to 6.3%, and your average client value increases to $12,600. The result? Over $1 million in revenue. You've literally doubled your business by making three relatively modest improvements. But here's the really exciting part. You don't have to wait to improve all three metrics to see results. Every time you increase any single metric by 26% while maintaining the others, you immediately boost your revenue by 26%. Think of it like having three separate growth levers for your business. Pull any one of them and your revenue grows. Pull all three of them and it doubles. Now, I know what some of you were thinking, but Buzz, how do I know which lever to pull first? And more importantly, how do I measure if these changes are actually working? And these are exactly the right questions to ask, because without proper tracking and measurement, you're still stuck in that 50-50 marketing paradox. Let me show you exactly how to track these metrics effectively so you can make data-driven decisions that actually move the revenue needle. Let's talk about how to track these metrics effectively, because here's the thing. Most businesses are drowning in data, but starving for insights. They're tracking everything, but measuring nothing. Let me show you how to cut through the noise and focus on what actually matters. First, let's talk about tracking unique visitors. Now, you might think that this is as simple as going to your Google Analytics dashboard, but there's a crucial difference between traffic and qualified traffic. Here's what I mean. You need to set up intent tracking. This means creating specific landing pages or tracking parameters for different marketing channels using things like UTMs so you can see not just how many visitors you're getting, but where your best prospects are coming from. For example, StratPro discovered that while LinkedIn was driving less traffic than their email campaigns, the visitors from LinkedIn were converting at 3 times the rate. Without proper tracking, they would have missed this completely. Now, for conversion rate tracking, you need to do what is called value journey mapping. This means tracking not just final conversions, but the key steps leading up to them. Your client relationship management system, or CRM, is crucial here. And I don't care which CRM you use, as long as it can track these 3 essential points: initial contact, qualified opportunity, and closed business. The key is connecting your marketing activities directly to revenue, not just activity metrics. Too many businesses celebrate increases in form submissions without tracking how many of those submissions actually turn into paying customers, or at least a sales call. You also want to track how users flow to a conversion, along with when and where they exit without engaging. Finally, tracking ARCP might seem straightforward, but here's where most businesses miss crucial opportunities. You need to track not just the initial purchase value, but the total client value over time. This means setting up your CRM to track lifetime value metrics. And here's how to do it. First, track your baseline revenue per client. Then monitor how specific marketing initiatives or service packages impact that number. Are clients who come through certain channels worth more? Do particular service combinations lead to higher long-term value? This data becomes your roadmap for growth.
Here's a buzzworthy insight.
You need to look at these metrics together, not in isolation. When you can see how changes in one metric impact the others, you can make much smarter marketing decisions. Now, as you might have caught on in the last few minutes, your success is tied to something called a CRM, or client relationship management system. And let me be crystal clear about this. Without a proper CRM, attempting to track these essential metrics is like trying to fly a plane without any navigation instruments. You might be able to navigate short trips, but you will get lost trying to fly from LA to New York. Here's what most businesses get wrong about CRMs. They treat them like glorified contact lists instead of what they really are: revenue tracking engines. Your CRM isn't just about storing client information, it's about understanding the entire journey from the first touch to the final sale and beyond. The key is setting up your CRM to track revenue milestones, the key points in your client journey that actually impact your bottom line. This means tracking not just when someone becomes a lead, but the quality of the lead, the source of that lead, how they move through your sales process, what they buy, and most importantly, their long-term value to your business. A properly configured CRM doesn't just track your metrics, it can actually help improve them. When you can see exactly where prospects are getting stuck in your pipeline, you can make targeted improvements that directly impact your conversion rates and average client value. Now, let's connect all the dots we've been laying out this season. Remember when we talked about identity, about knowing exactly who you are as a business and who you serve? Those insights become absolutely crucial when you're tracking these 3 core metrics, because you're not just measuring numbers, you're measuring how well you are connecting with your perfectly profitable prospects. Think about it. Your unique visitors become more valuable when you're attracting the right people because your identity is clear and compelling. Your conversion rates naturally improve when your messaging aligns perfectly with your marketing needs. And your average client value increases because you're attracting people who truly value what makes you different. The same goes for visibility. Remember our discussion about being visible to the right people in the right places? When you combine strategic visibility with proper tracking, something magical happens. You start to see exactly which visibility efforts are driving real revenue, not just vanity metrics. Suddenly, you're not just showing up everywhere, you're showing up where it matters most. This is why I'm so passionate about these three metrics. They're not just numbers on a dashboard, they're the scoreboard that tells you if all your marketing efforts are actually working. They tell you if your identity is resonating, if your visibility is reaching the right people, and most importantly, if your marketing is actually driving revenue. As we wrap up today's episode, I want to leave you with one final thought. The 50-50 marketing paradox isn't a life sentence. You don't have to keep wondering which half of your marketing is working. By focusing on these three core metrics, properly tracking them through your CRM, and aligning them with your identity and visibility efforts, you can transform your marketing from a guessing game into a predictable revenue engine. And if after listening to this episode, you still feel stuck on where to get started, I encourage you to schedule a complimentary strategy session with me to get you pointed in the right direction. All you have to do is click the link in the show notes to find a time that works for you. And with that, I want to remind you, being boring is a choice. So stay buzzworthy.